White nationalism? In my previous post, I mentioned the term white nationalist, and I thought I'd make a separate post, just to talk about this. So, what is white nationalism? What is the ideology behind it? What do white nationalists actually want? It's pretty simple, actually. White nationalists are by far the most demonized minority in our modern world, well, at least if we ignore Scientologists. Those people. Well, moving on. So, a white nationalist is, as defined by Merriam-Webster.com, one or a group of militant whites who espouse white supremacy and advocate enforced racial segregation. This isn't entirely true. The notion that originally white civilizations, like those of Europe and some parts of America as well, should remain majority white, isn't someone who promotes white supremacy. Actually, during my time within the loosely defined alt-right, I've never heard a single person make the claim of general supremacy of whites over others. In my personal opinion, the term supremacy has absolutely no value, and if leftists and our other opposers would meet us halfway, that's to say, they would recognize that yes, different races are different, certain populations differ greatly from certain populations, and the averages are measurable, I'd be perfectly satisfied with that. While white nationalism as a term has been demonized and mocked for since the World War II, really, try and read this with this certain thing in mind, there is absolutely no evil intent behind all this. If you happen to be a leftist reading this, I know, it sounds fucking absurd, but it's true, and to make this point, I decided to make a civil case for white nationalism and its benefits on this post. Remember, I was truly a leftist in my past. I was more than just an average left-voting working man. I was the leftist. I was with Antifa. I was for communism. I was going to say that I was a self-hating dirtbag, but that wouldn't be true, would it? Back then, my intentions weren't any more or less evil than they are today. My weird urge for a communist revolution wasn't born out of hatred for the world, it was a sincere wish to make the world a better place, for everybody. Obviously, that sort of sentiment rose purely out of my lack of knowledge on politics and history. That was the rebellious backlash against the world that I felt had done wrong for its people, and I would be wrong to deny this revolutionary spirit in me nowadays. It still exists. It's gone through major changes, yes, but it's there, it lives in me as long as I breathe and walk this earth. My journey from communism to the alt-right and white nationalism will surely be a topic for another post, because the story will be rather long and this story isn't entirely about me. The reason I'm telling you about my past is that while the whole idea of white nationalism, the sentiment of the white ethnostate may seem like an idea born out of malice, it isn't. For me, nationalism isn't about hating everybody else, it's about loving what I have, and wanting to preserve my nation for my own people, and I'm not sure why you'd think there's something maleficent or evil about that. The reason why I oppose the ongoing seizure of the lands of white farmers in South Africa is the exact reason why my idea of white nationalism isn't born out of hatred. What is happening to those people is terrifying. It's scary, it's evil, it's dangerous. These people have decided that South Africa is for blacks only, and while that sentiment in and on itself isn't wrong, murdering whites in the name of justice is surely an evil act, an act born out of malice. This story brings me to my next point. What is the reason that people tend to generally think that white nationalism is evil? It's because they think wrongly of our possible methods of building that great white ethnostate. I've heard many people say that the idea of the white ethnostate is evil, because there would need to be a violent rebellion against every other race in that continent, that whites would have no other option than to chase those people out of their lands. Just know this, I would never stand behind such a plan. I'm not a fascist who wishes for people to suffer because of how they look, or who they are, or where they live. Imagine the following scenario. What if the whites in America, the whites who sincerely wished to live within their own peoples, what if they grouped up, bought some land, and started building their own communities, where they would exercise their rights of freedom of association, and there'd be no need for a violent revolution? What if a group of whites went to Antarctica, and claimed a piece of land for themselves, built a community of like-minded people there, and lived happily ever after? Is that something that was born out of malice? The reality is, that while we can only guess, That is it, an intentional effort, that the left is shipping in more and more migrants to every majority white nation. They are shipping more and more people who vote Democrat, despite their intentions. This is happening, and there's not much we can do about it anymore with democratic means. The reality of the situation is a rather large black pill in and on itself. The West isn't going to be what it was, ever again. So, if we can't combat that unwanted change, why would we simply stay and watch our genes be wiped off the gene pool for good? Why not go the extra mile? Why not take our chances with an actual white ethnostate? I mean, if our opposers already hate us, and despise our high ideals, what is there to lose for them, if we go? We're not searching for a violent outlet, we're searching for peace. We're searching for a place that's not multicultural. We're searching for a place where our children could grow up with people that are and think like they do. So, on that, I guess Merriam-Webster.com was perfectly right. We truly wish for a racial segregation. Why is it that the vast majority of migrants aren't white? Why is it that the vast majority of migrants do wish to live in a country or a continent that's majority white? I mean, you don't see many Europeans moving to the third world in search for a better life, or to escape war, or any other pre-learned phrases that they are teaching these migrants at the immigrant centers all around Europe and America. No, whites have managed to keep up with the times. Whites have made the world a better place for everybody, and what do these people bring here with them? They bring terrorism, rape, violent crime, theft. They bring their sick family members who wish to abuse the generous welfare systems that we have. We have thousands upon thousands of fighting-age males coming to Europe, not wanting to learn the languages of their new host countries, not wanting to work, or if they manage to get a job, they do the jobs that the European teens are supposed to be doing during the summers. I love it when people bring up these bullshit arguments, like, well, what if there weren't any immigrants in Finland, who would be cleaning your buses, packing up your groceries, could be deliver you the pizza you yearn for when you're hungover? Well, Europeans, you think we can't clean our own cars or deliver our own pizzas? Well, fuck me. We must be doing worse than I thought. So, there's a few reasons why a white ethnostate of like-minded people would be an applicable solution, in my opinion. Of course, one could look at that last chapter and simply state that it's just hate-mongering, that it's not true, that I've twisted the facts to fit my bias. I know that that ain't true, but if I humor those rather common accusations for a moment, why on earth would you want to live in the same small country with such a hate-mongering and evil being? Wouldn't it be of your best interest if the whites who wish to live among their own people simply moved away and started to build their own legacies elsewhere? I'll be talking about white nationalism more in the future, but for now, this'll serve as an introduction to the concept of the white ethnostate. Once again, thank you so much for reading, and as always, stay infidel. Finish infidel.